Murray, do you want to just sort of recap what has happened today for the Bees as you've been reporting?
Again, started with a trade with the Edmonton Oilers. They get winger Victor Arvidsson in exchange for a fifth-round pick in 2027. Then they signed free agent Tanner Jano, 5-year deal at $3.4 million per. Former Columbus Blue Jacket Jordan Harris used to play at Northeastern. I know you'll be excited about that. He has been signed. Sean Corrali also returns on a 2-year deal with $1.85 million.
Mazz, your thoughts?
I don't know half the guys on that list.
It's all bottom six forwards. Why would you?
Okay,
no one does.
So who's the guy? What's his name? Senat?
Wait, who?
What?
What are you talking about?
You okay?
Tanner Jano?
Jano. That's it. That guy. Who's that guy? No, I'm serious. Who is he? What? Why have I never heard of him? Is he some scrub? Does he blow?
No, he's a tough guy.
Well, it's interestingly, I mockingly say I don't care if the kid's from Malden or Moose Jaw. This guy happens to be from Moose Jaw.
Like literally from Moose Jaw.
He played for the Moose Jaw Warriors in Saskatchewan.
So I don't know anything about that player. It feels to me like they just signed a bunch of...
So he's 28 years old. He is a 5-year NHL veteran. I believe he was undrafted. If I have that wrong, you can let me know. Because I didn't quite show up here. He's a fourth liner and a fighter. I say fighter, like as close as you can get to it in today's NHL.
Okay,
He'll
Pretty
fight.
tough bottom six forward. That's
So my question then becomes, you have a limited amount of talent on your team, like legit front-end talent, and you sign a fourth liner who was undrafted to a 5-year contract for $21 million or whatever the number is, or a little less than that. So $18 million, whatever the number was. Why did you have to give this guy 5 years?
Completely preposterous signing by the Boston Bruins. Preposterous. And the only thing that's more preposterous is that they keep doing it. There's always a guy. What I've come to believe is like the Neely signing. Like Neely still has this antiquated notion of the NHL power forward and himself.
Yeah, he thinks it's 1991.
Or they want something, and we all do. Wouldn't we all love to have a team with Cam Neely on it?
Sure.
It doesn't exist anymore. Or it's just like impossible to find. There's only one Matthew Tkachuk. There's only a couple guys like that.
Well, Cam Neely had skill. I mean, they sign these guys that are just tough, and that's it. Like, big whoop.
I mean, like the worst
else.
example, Nick Ritchie, like that guy.
Yeah.
Like the big lumbering oaf.
He was stiff.
That is out there because you feel this need to be fit, which you need physicality, and I like size and all of this, but it feels like, I don't know, it feels, and what I've come to believe and know is that, Sweeney does have it in his mind that the game is about speed and skill and open ice, and that's a lot of it, and Neely still has this thing about the NHL power forward. And so there's always a guy on the roster that just doesn't seem to fit. He just kind of sticks out. And that's what this guy is, Tanner Jano. 5 years?
5 years.
5 years at $3.5 million. DJ Bean tells me that his projection going into the thing, his projected deal was 2 years, 1.4.
Okay, so again, like
that was the kind of deal he was projected to get.
So let's sign him for longer and for more money. That's the Bruins' difference.
The Bruins give him 5 and 3.5. And listen, let me tell you something. Before I go too far, it is, I'm going to assume there was someone out there willing to pay him 5 times 3 or 4 times 3.5, and you had to go to 5. So the market's gotten stupid. If you just look at the tracker of what guys are, nobody's. Guys you've never heard of are signing for big money across the league that you'd sit there and go, what the hell was that? Trent Frederick, 8 years and whatever he got in Edmonton. What the hell is that? So there's a lot of those contracts out there. And in that context, this Tanner Jano thing isn't that outrageous because there's been a lot of contracts like that. My second guess would be, why do you have to get on the stupid train with everybody else?
Exactly.
Why can't you just watch the stupid train go by the station and save your bullets? I now trust the Bruins are going to spend money. I don't think they're cheaping out, or at least on the roster. They spend on the roster. They might cheap out at some other things. But when it comes to the roster, they spend on the roster. I have faith you're going to spend on hockey players. You don't have to spend on every dumbass player that comes down the pike. And this feels like a dumbass signing. 5 years for this guy?
So that's the one, and this is the one that to me that in hearing from friends and in listening to Ty Anderson and talking to Bruins fans, that this is the one that really sent people over the edge. And I would say, look, again, I couldn't tell. I don't ever remember seeing this guy play. I'm not trying to be a wise ass. I don't ever remember seeing him play.
Well, he scored 24 goals for Nashville in 21-22. Since then, he's never scored more than 7. He was part of that Tampa team after they won the Cup. I don't remember him either. I don't. Played last year for the Kings. You mentioned Ty Anderson? He lost his mind a couple times today. Give me Ty Anderson on this, Jimmy. Number 2, though. The second cut from Ty Anderson on Tanner Jano.
How many goals do you think Tanner Jano had last year?
I have no idea.
Just ballpark it.
I'm not a Tanner Jano guy. He had 4.
How many goals do you think a guy who gets a 5-year deal?
4. He had 4 goals.
No, he had 7.
See? Yeah, but probably more assists.
Overachieving. Upside.
Yeah.
Oh, how many assists do you think he had last year?
Probably more than 7, right?
No, he had 6.
Oh.
13 points. You're giving a 5-year deal to a guy with 13 points who's 28 years old. What are you doing? What is the direction? Don Sweeney last week goes, we're not going to gift our young players any opportunities. No, we're going to box them out with 5-year deals now instead. That's what you do. The boner that they have for the power forward. Tanner Jano's last 2 seasons. 14 goals.
Consistent.
14 goals in 120 games.
7.
Come on.
You're getting a goal every 10 games. You got to give 5 years for that?
You know what you're getting.
At least he's been good in the playoffs. Oh, wait. He has 0 goals in 16 career playoff games.
Again, we're not going to be there, so what's the
they're not going to make the playoffs. They don't have to worry about those
Why are you
numbers.
worried about that?
Yeah.
Holy crap. Why would you do that? You traded Trent Frederick, and everyone was going, that's a great deal. You don't want to pay that guy. You don't want to give that guy a lot of term. So they go and they give that term to a worse player, essentially.
So this is the part I don't get. Is that at the bottom of your roster, you're giving out 5-year deals?
Why?
That's the one you got to give out, a 5-year deal to the guy at the bottom of the roster?
Why?
That makes no sense to me. I don't understand that. That is the exact spot where a guy should be on a 1 or 2 year deal, depending on who he is and how good he is and how, what his track record is, and plug and play. That's it. And if he sucks, you get some other scrub from down there to run into walls and slam into people. They brought Lauko back. Again, I'm not telling you this guy's Lauko or it's a perfect match or whatever. What's he making? He's making nothing.
So just because there's a lot of stupid contracts out there, just because there's been a run and there's been, contracts that just don't make sense across the league, why do you, if all the dodo birds are going to jump off the cliff, which is what dodo birds do,
Yeah,
I
correct.
think actually do, right?
Well, lemmings do. I know that.
It's lemmings.
That's what you're thinking.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So the lemmings jump off a cliff. Why do you have to jump off the cliff with everybody else?
Because you're a lemming.
Because you're stupid. Because you're stupid.
I mean, that's the part I don't get. At the bottom of the roster, you got to give a 5-year contract for $3.4 million a year?
Guy that scores single digits.
Unless this is something to appease the new coach, which also doesn't make sense.
Well, that was the other one.
Yeah.
That's the other move.
Same with Arvidsson.
No, that is Arvidsson. Why does Tanner Jano? He was on the Kings last year. He was on the Kings, but Sturm was at the AHL.
Oh, right. Okay.
So
All
he
right,
was,
getting my years mixed up.
maybe they were. Maybe
a
this
little bit of
was though,
crossover.
Murray. Yeah, maybe they trained.
I just can't help but not notice the king thing of this.
Listen, that's fair. I didn't draw the connection. I mean, I should have, obviously. Sturm was at the AHL, but this guy, they probably trained together, training camp, all that stuff. He's probably very familiar with them.
And just real quick, because both of these guys that we're talking about were also Nashville Predators, would you like the quick synopsis of both of these players from our guy Jared Stillman at 102.5 The Game in Nashville? He texted me this morning after both these moves.
Please.
First on Victor Arvidsson, he sucks. And on Jano, woof.
More on Arvidsson, more on Jano, more on. Well, listen, hey, here's the good news, folks. You got another Hockey East guy from Haverhill, whose dad also played at Hockey East.
Oh.
So I know that's going to warm the cockles of your heart. That's going to shoot some, because I know how important it is to you that the local kids stay local and that the Bruins continue to tap in to that massive stream of talent here coming out of Haverhill.
And his dad also played in the league?
UMass Lowell, I don't know if he played at the NHL level, but the long New England tradition here.
So he's a hockey's legacy.
So this is what we got. So I know that's going to soften the blow. At least we got another Hockey East kid in here because I know that's important to you.